right. Fiction Shelf 4, Part 4. Catcher in the Rye again. I guess there's 2 or 3 copies of this kicking around in here. There's definitely another paperback. These two are friends. I held on to this one for sentimental reasons. This was the copy I read when I was at college, the first year I was away as a youngin'. My parents basically told me, get your GED and go to college when I was 17. And you're too unruly. And they were not wrong. But this was bought at a library sale. A used book there. I just found something I don't think I even want to read. A whole sheaf of old love letters from my first marriage to me. Whoa. What do you do with stuff like that? You can't really throw it out. I mean, you can. But it seems crazy that it still exists. Not. There's another one of those books that I'm really like, should this be on the classic shelf? It's getting a little crowded. But look, original dust jacket. Classics of Russian literature imprint. Ugh, this is like a beautiful book. 3 years. Translated from the Russian by Ross Prokopiev. This book is beautiful. My friend Doug got rid of all his books and music and kept only his DVD collection that still filled a room with central video store style aisle displays. I mean, packed. He's since thrown out all the cases and just kept the individual DVDs and books. It shows that he really loves them for their content, for their stories, than for them as collectibles. But I got this book from him when he did that. This is, of course, what the Martin Scorsese movie is based on. I wonder if this book would pair well with The Master and Margarita, with kind of these humanistic, attempted at more realistic descriptions of these supposedly divine events. Powerfully moving story of a great spiritual victory. Beautiful copy of I, Claudius, Robert Graves. Very nice. I swear this book is all telling. Show don't tell, unless it's I, Claudius, and then everyone calls it a masterpiece. Also got the sequel here that I looked at before, but I'm going to put those two together. Best friends. Translation of Dante's Inferno by a contemporary Irish poet. These New York Review of books are so beautiful. Here's the Inferno of Dante Alighieri, a new translation by Ciaran Carson. I thought it was Bosch maybe on the cover, but it's Giotto. A startling new translation. I read the John Ciardi translations once. John Ciardi, who called the Beat Generation the deadbeat generation. He had no respect for this new thing. I took a whole Dante class one summer. It was great. Taught by an unforgettably cool teacher. This older Italian lady. Totally brilliant. Taught us the correct way to pronounce Beatrice. It's not Beatrice. But I was subbing at a school some time ago, and this was a book that was in the classroom, and I had some time to fill while students were doing this or that. So I read the first couple of chapters of Dante's Inferno, and I was like, contact with art, it really can just leave you altered. When you see the great stuff, when you encounter it, it's awesome. A lot of the things that have lasted from 700 years ago, they've lasted because they're good. They've got merit. And Dante's Inferno is so evocative. It's one of the few books, along with 1984, to give me nightmares, and The Crystal World. Actually, never mind, there's a list. But here's a book by N. Frank Daniels, who wrote that Future Proof that we looked at in the memoir section, and that I read and really enjoyed. This is a follow-up to that. It might be a novel. Oh, look at this. He wrote something really nice. The only Mike Smith that matters. And great inspiration and partner. Yeah, we need to actually meet sometime. We've had a great correspondence. Oh, look, 16 though. So much time has gone by. I bet he'd still be cool if I called him or something or emailed him. Future Proof it ended up being published by HarperCollins, and this is not Harper. So I'm guessing there was some complications there eventually or later on, or sometimes people make the simple business decisions to take more autonomy and more responsibility, but get more of the profit. I know a lot of musicians like that. Muscular writing in the tradition of Bukowski. Looks like it uses bolding creatively. Interesting. Okay, I think this is one of the most beautiful books I own. I love this thing. Look how pretty. Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. And this is a very good book. I really enjoyed this. And I like the movie, too. I think the movie actually made some temporal improvements with how to arrange the story. But this is such a cool work. One soul over 6 lifetimes from the distant past to the distant future, reincarnated. It's unique and interesting, and it's become a real point of reference for me. 6 interlocking lives, one amazing adventure. When my oldest daughter Anodyne was born, her horoscope that day said, "You are about to begin the biggest journey of your existence." For her. Milan Kundera mentioned these books all over his book, The Art of the Novel. So I've always meant to read them. At one point, I think they were much more commonly read by well-read people. And now I think a lot of people have no idea who this guy is or what these are. I did meet someone named Justine, and she was aware of this book and Colette's book by the same name. Lawrence Durrell, The Alexandria Quartet. Supposedly they're really, really good. What does that mean? What are they like? Who knows? Look at this. This is cool. Shakespeare and Company, Kilometer Zero, Paris. Poetic little novel about restoring a mural in an old church. Recovering from trauma, I think. From the wonderful NYRB imprint. Love them. My friend Lisa Barrow, who's a writer, was trying to collect the whole imprint of New York Review of Books for a while. Now there's probably too many. But, so I was weeding them out of my collection and giving them to her for a little while. But now I've started acquiring them again. They really are nice. Binding is really important. Cheap binding makes me, hate a publisher. This is not that. This is just one of my total favorite modern books. Bright Lights, Big City. So good. And the movie is so good. They're both great. They're different and they're both just great, and I love them both. But the book is written in second person. Look at that World Trade Center in the backdrop there. Shows you that when this was written. But it's written in second person, but it's a very distinct second person. I'm interested in very general second persons where like choose your own adventure. You could be anybody reading it. But this is a very specific second person. You're you, but you are a distinct character. And that's why the movie made the, I think, acceptable choice to just make the main character be a character played by Michael J. Fox. But I forget that kind of gimmick almost even for this book. While it is integral to the story and it totally works, it's just such a compelling story because it's about somebody who's kind of throwing his life away with hedonism and excess, and you don't really know why, and it gradually emerges that he's just really sad that his mom died, and it's really a beautiful human story, and it has one of my favorite endings of a work ever. A sacramental scene involving bread and sunglasses at dawn. It's just, man, it's a special and amazing book, and I need to read more Jay McInerney because when I read this, I felt like the power of literature. All those letters capitalized. Tobias Wolff likes it. Oh, this was a debut. Incredible. Jay McInerney's voice is a lot of us, whether young New Yorkers or not, coolly accurate, but sobbing inside a little. Barry Hannah. Yeah. Read this book. Watch the movie. It's great. The author. 1984. Interesting that we looked at a Frank Daniels book right before this because he later got a big boost when he won a contest that Jay McInerney was a judge in by writing a really hilarious piece. I remember reading it online. It's so funny. I'm reading this in paperback right now, a smaller, less pretty edition. But my goodness, that's just what? What books can look this good? It reminds me of Stanley Kubrick saying it's hard to make an anti-war picture because it all looks cool on screen. This is a scene of World War I, and I'm like, that is so beautiful. Farewell to Honor. Man. Look at this. Hello. Yeah, I'm glad I have this copy. Very nice. Well, that's it. That was shelf 4. part 4. A shorter video. Let's see how it does. Actually, I want to make a note about the paperback shelf that is the secret through line of this channel. I was doing, I'm more of a book person than a math person, but I was realizing if I read even one book a week for 4 years, then I still won't quite be done with this. And I'm definitely not moving at that pace right now. So what the heck? That's such a big goal then. So I got to just start kind of getting a rhythm. I'm going to try to read one of these a week. Just be a more active reader. If I have to set aside extra time for it, I will. Now it's like, I guess that's going to be more of a goal than just something I can casually do. But I'll do it. Why not? And it's going to be such a cool survey, to see infinity in a grain of sand. This is going to be to see literature in a paperback case. Somewhat eclectic, but still. And also what's available to a person in this time and place. People were studying this time and place, they would look into that. What did people read during the time? What did they have? Just like we do that when we look at other people in other times. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to step up. I'm going to read some of the real thin ones next. Just knock them out. Then I was hemming and hawing over whether Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde should be here or in the sci-fi section. It is about like a scientific potion. But it's literary quality writing. Torn, like Natalie Imbruglia. All right. 4 cases down. 4 shelves down. Why do I confuse the words shelf and case all the time? What the heck? The book I recommend most vociferously from this shelf is Bright Lights, Big City. You got to read it if you haven't. And the book I feel I most read is this Lawrence Durrell one. I want to know what's up there.